Woo, yo, what's going on? What's going on? Check it out, man. One of the biggest moments, Terrell Hall of Fame, D-line, TBKC, and all that sweet, beautiful, wonderful shit. But someone was asking me what was a turning point. What was a point where I believe that the American bully got hurt the worst, especially during the pocket era. And I'm gonna tell you, it was a moment where in the pocket era, it was a gap. And that gap really hurt some things. And the gap should have been filled by two sort of rock star type of dogs. And that gap came shortly after Hallie and Paco, right? And Hef era. They were the pockets who led the charge. They held it down originally. They were the original pockets. Now, what happened shortly thereafter would become, a lot of mystery, to say the least. But what you had happen is you had Toshi, who by my account, I'm not going to say by all accounts, but I know a lot of people love Toshi and would have no problem saying that Toshi was Paco's baddest son. Toshi was a smaller dog, tons of muscle, very tight paws, wide, had the just perfect Paco style of head with the big cheeks and everything like that. And, he was just a bad boy, man. Probably the shortest back out of all of Paco's sons. I mean, the dog was as close to what you would look for and say, hey, this is a perfect pocket as you could get. He really, when I checked him out at the Dust Bowl in Houston and I first saw the dog, I said, oh, it's trouble, man. It's trouble. That was actually, and to make it correct, that was actually, Toshi would have been in the same era, as a lot of those dogs, But, man, when I checked that boy out, I said, damn. I saw him as a younger puppy, and you could just see it was coming, man. You know what I mean? He was everything. He was one of Paco's earlier sons, too. He was going to be everything that, that the breed needed. And unfortunately, and I'm going to speak cautiously on this, but I tell you, from a lot of different sources, sources that I trust, it was another bullshit situation where jealousy came into factor. And so, a lot of people have reported to me on that matter that, there was some hater shit that went on with Toshi a lot like it went on with Paco. Now, like I said, I can't confirm that, but I wouldn't doubt it, and several people that I respect told me that that's what went on. Now, then you had, very close to very similar to that time span, which would have been about, I say the time difference would have been about, let's say, a year or so. You had Deniro. And y'all already know what happened to Deniro, you know what I mean? Now, Toshi was better built than Deniro. As far as Toshi had the tight feet. Deniro's conformation wasn't as good as Toshi's was, but Deniro, I guess he was extreme before it was extreme. You know what I mean? Like, he had good conformation, but it wasn't like Toshi's was. But the muscle and the type of head that he carried, and being a little row son, I mean, these dogs were different because you thinking about way back when, you talking about 2005, 6 and 7, these dogs, were shutting down places. Like, Toshi as a puppy was going to places, and they brought him out a couple times, I do believe. And he was the talk of wherever he went. He started to be the talk of every event that he went to, and it was big name dogs at these places. Toshi was that dude, man. He was an incredible dog, and he would have probably slid into his dad's slot as the next big, pocket coming up in there. Not to say he would have pushed Paco out, but he would have definitely been a hitter. And it was the same thing with Deniro. When Deniro went to the show in Atlanta, I mean, you had plenty of super big names, dogs in there. Hef was literally right across from us. We were facing each other. Their booth was on one side of the aisle. Ours was on the other side of the aisle. Man, people was flooded around our booth just to see this dog. When he went to the ring, much like how Toshi took over the events that he was at. It was the same thing with Deniro. You literally had the crowd chanting his name because they hadn't seen anything like that, man. He was so muscular, so blocky, just ripped up. He built a fan club to the point to where when he opened up, listen, you talking about this is 2007 maybe? When he opened up, as far as being a stud, his stud fee opened up at 5,000 in 2007. He was opening up at 5,000, and we were turning people away. We were literally turning people away. And the first couple studs was actually sold internationally. And Danny did get some stuff done with him down there, but not much. But the reason why I say that those two dogs meeting their demise at an early age, however scandalous or not so scandalous it may have been, you rarely get, I would say generational dogs. Both of those dogs had the physical characteristics of generational dogs for their generation. Super muscular. You had the genetics behind them with, Paco being Toshi's father, and of course Little Ro being Deniro's father, and Cairo backing all that shit up. It was line bred. You had a good balance of Gotti line blood in there with Deniro. It was just some dogs that really could have catapulted the game, much like Paco did. Paco, at that point in time, was sort of left to carry the game by himself. And it's not a knock on any of his other sons, because he did have other sons. But none of them really ever took the mantle like Paco did. Hef sort of faded, and then it was this gap to where there were no real big pockets to push that gap. Now, of course, what happened, 2009, that's when Denzel came along. But that gap created something weird because Paco and Halle and Hef had such a firm hold on what the American Bully Pocket was, is that people were going straight for that. You had to have that type of shit. Even a lot of the Gotti people were trying to do little maybe Paco breedings. That's how Deniro came about, was Little Ro to a Gotti female Candy. They were going for that. Well, once that little gap came, and y'all know what happens when you're super popular, even like how Paco was, when a gap comes along and it's not popular anymore, then it is what it is. You know what I mean? It is what it is. It opened up a point to where people thought they had wiggle room, and that was the introduction of Dax. That was the introduction of Miyagi. And it really was an era there for a little span to where you didn't have a lot that could bang with him. Now, Denzel came along and, he started banging with him. Clean American Bully, this is what it is. You had a few others that came in there and did their thing, Clean American Bullies. But when you're talking about the top tier, the big names is carrying the breed, and I ain't saying that those was the only dogs in that era before anybody starts that bullshit. No, they were not the only dogs in their era, but it's something different about a Dax, a Denzel, a Paco, you know what I mean? A dogs that, carry a generation one way or the other, whether it's for the good or the bad. It's a difference when you start looking at a pedigree and, it's undeniable. Dax is all through the American Bully community. You know what I'm saying? Denzel all through the American Bully community. Those type of dogs, Toshi and Deniro would have been those type of dogs. And in that gap, instead of us seeing so many extreme dogs, I strongly believe that they would have bridged the gap to keep the true American Bully popular and keep more people coming in on that. But in the dog world, it's just so amazing that sometimes when a dog gets to be 4 or 5, even 3 sometimes, people are looking for the new next big thing. They don't even want to see what's going on with this or that or the other, So at the end of the day, it is what it is. It definitely, changed the course of history, because I strongly believe that if those two dogs were able to push their momentum the way that they did and would have spread out through the American Bully community and produced and kept producing that look and producing more and more of that look, cleaner, tighter, more ripped up, cheeky type of pocket, I think that it would have did a lot of damage to what we seen come along, to where people thought it was cool to invent an extreme class and have deformed dogs. You know, without the pressure of having a headliner, it allowed for people to do dumb shit, right or wrong, you know. But you know, if y'all ain't never seen pictures of Toshi, I'm gonna find a picture and post him up. Man, one of the baddest dogs I ever seen in this breed. It was unfortunate that, you know, we didn't get to have at least 100 Toshi kids out here to carry those type of genetics on. But you know, that was just a little trip down memory lane. Until next time, y'all, much love. Peace.